Being the smooth operator I am, I did exactly what I told you not to do. And I spilled oil all over my garage floor. Today we're doing an oil change on my 2015 Audi A4 B8.5 S-Line. I figured I'd show you, all the steps and all the things we need in order to change the oil on this vehicle. I'm gonna run you through everything you need to have at home to do this, and then all the specifications and step-by-step on how to get this thing cleaned up and tuned up real nice so you can take it ripping on the back roads again. Personally, I use a 5-gallon draining oil pan. You're gonna need a 74mm oil filter socket wrench, and that is to take out and install your new premium oil filter. This is a Bosch replacement. The part number for this is 3982. You will need a T45 bit to take the actual drain plug out, a little extender to rock with this guy, and then a 3/8 inch drive ratchet to go along with it. So you'll also need brand new crush rings for your drain plug. These ones happen to be 14mm crush rings, which is exactly what you need. You will need a standard 5-liter bottle. I have Liqui Moly 5W40 Moly Gen oil. The oil capacity on the car itself is about 4.9 liters. So we'll use almost everything in this bottle, leave just a little bit behind. So let's jump right into how to change the oil on your B8 or B8.5 A4. I'm gonna prop the hood open, and I have my car up on ramps underneath it to get a little extra elevation. You can use jack stands, anything you have really, to get the car off the ground just enough so your body can fit underneath it. So let's head under the car. All right, so now we're up close and personal underneath the car. So you're gonna remove this rear skid plate of the two in the front, and there's 11 Phillips head screws located all the way around the outside. And then once you get that done, you're gonna slide the teeth from the front skid plate backwards, and this whole entire thing will come down. Now that all the screws are off, kind of drop the back, slide it backwards, and realistically you could just leave it underneath the car for now. Ooh, it's dirty under here. The next step, we're gonna come back above the car, gonna crack off the oil cap. You wanna make sure you do this after you drive a little bit so the oil's at operating temperature, because what'll happen is the sediment in the bottom of your oil pan will mix in with the oil, and then while you drain it hot, all of that junk will come out and the new oil will replace it. Perfectly clean, nothing left behind. Well, I wouldn't say nothing, but I'd say only a little bit. Grab this puppy and your T45, and we're gonna get cracking. Let the old oil out. What else is there to say? Let's just do it. You wanna position your oil pan so that the edge is right underneath it in case it starts dripping while we're pulling it out, but you wanna make sure it's far enough so that it's not spitting oil past the pan when you pull the screw out. So it's a little tight down here, but that's to be expected when you're working on things at home. And you always want to apply a little pressure to the back of it to make sure that we don't strip the Torx bit. Ooh, that's some hot oil. Got a little oil on the face, nothing to worry about. It's all part of the fun. But now she's draining. She's draining good. All right, it's also never a terrible idea to put safety glasses on so you don't get oil in your eyes like I almost just did. All right, while you're draining your oil, never a bad idea to unscrew your oil filter just a little bit so that you can make sure that everything gets sucked out. You should really take some shop towels or rags or just about anything and tuck it up around the base and the alternator. Make sure that you don't get any oil down in your alternator. You definitely don't want that. So we're gonna take our 74mm, pop that puppy on the top of this old oil filter, make sure she's snug on the teeth. Just give her a couple cranks by hand until it's nice and loose. Until she pops out like that. Look at that puppy. Heavy as fuck. It's definitely full of oil, I want to say. I don't know for sure. I'm not a real mechanic, but I do what I do. What you want to make sure is that this rubber gasket around the top comes out when you pull it out. Otherwise, if it's left behind, you put a gasket on a gasket, you're going to start pissing oil all over your engine bay, and you'll be fucked. Your engine will be blown by the time you get out of your driveway. Shit out of luck. So don't make that mistake. Take your new oil filter, take a dab of that oil off the O-ring of the old filter. Just kind of give it a nice swirl onto that new filter's O-ring to make sure that it seats nicely and doesn't bind up, to the metal. Otherwise, that's another situation. So there we go. She's almost ready. One more quick tip. When you're putting on the new oil filter, you want to tighten it by hand to begin with to make sure that you don't cross-thread anything. You want to take your somewhat clean shop rags. Make sure she's extra clean so that O-ring seats nicely on that metal. Really should just start rolling on when you do it by hand. Keep it rolling until it's about hand tight, and then if you really want to, just to make sure, you can take your 74mm, give it like a quarter turn just to snug it up, nothing more than that. As long as you get it, pretty tight by hand, you should be just fine. But for the sake of not having any, it's just a smidge extra. Just a little, hey, how you doing? Quarter turn, She's snug. Oh, we're looking good, baby. Let's keep it rolling. Once you wipe down your drain plug, make sure it's fairly clean. Take your new 14mm crush washer, pop that sucker on. We are gonna pull off the old 14mm crush washer, and we are going to replace that with our new one. Pop that sucker on, and we're gonna head back under the car. Toss it on, snug it up. I'll see you down there. Being the smooth operator I am, I did exactly what I told you not to do. And I spilled oil all over my garage floor. So, you know, we got a bit of cleanup to do. No biggie. Gonna get that done, and then we're gonna plug the drain hole and get filling with some oil. So, wish me luck. So, things seem to be hitting the fan just a little bit, but we're gonna wipe this down, stop the oil from dripping. Theoretically, still dripping. We love it. Get it hand snug, just for the time being. Torque this puppy up to 30 Newton meters, and that's the spec for this. You see the crush washer starting to crush. There we go. Got the pop. Give it one last wipe. Make sure we don't got oil coming down. Might have an oil leak over here. Not sure yet. Found a little bit of oil hanging out where it shouldn't have been. So we're gonna figure that out. Back in action. We're starting small, working our way up. Because our funnel is evidently way too small, gonna have to start with a solo cup of oil. Should be about perfect. Some beautiful green oil. After a few solo cups worth of pouring out some extra oil, we now have just enough to get pouring with. We've got about thumb's height worth of oil left in the bottom of this. You'd rather go a little under than right at or over because you don't want to blow any gaskets in your engine. Now that you did that, we're gonna pop the cap back on. And we're gonna take our clean rag, keyword clean, give this bad boy a little wipe. Take it, twist it, snug it, thumbs up. Top cap is on tight. You wanna make sure that your oil filter is snugged up, hand tight as you can get it by hand, if not a 1/8 of a quarter to a turn clockwise to get it a little extra snug. You wanna make sure that your drain plug is torqued down to 30 Newton meters and that crush washer is sealed on there nice. All right, once you do all that, you're gonna hit a little startup, double check that there's no leaks, no faults, no problems that you could have fucked up in your garage. And then right after that, we'll reset the MMI, take it for a road test, come home. And then I like to leave the bottom skid plate off just for the road test so that when you get back, you could check one more time for oil leaks. Key places to check for oil leaks. Top cap, very unlikely. Oil filter, a little more likely, but still unlikely. Place you really want to be looking is underneath. Check that drain plug. Make sure there's no oil coming out from around the seal on the edges. And even while you're down there, just check your oil pan to make sure that the gasket's not shot and that, you know, everything's running smoothly and you don't blow up your engine. Hood's down, check for oil leaks. None to do with what I did on the car, but we might have a little drip going. We'll have to double check after we take her for a test. Back her off the ramps real slow. Real slow. Don't want to scrape that bumper. And out the garage, just like that. All right, now that you're in your car, you got one last thing to do. Put it into accessory mode without starting the vehicle. You're gonna go down to service interval display, scroll down and reset oil change interval. It'll tell you that your next oil change is 10,000 miles or 365 days from the day that you did it today. But realistically, you want to do every 3,000 to 5,000 miles with, you know, a vehicle like this. We're gonna check our oil level. You hit oil level and then there you go, she's sitting at max. So I'm gonna keep an eye on the oil level as we are taking her around the block. Just wanna make sure that there's no shenanigans going on. Oil's almost up at operating temperature, which is exactly what we're looking for. Oil's up to operating temp. See if we can build a little boost. Set the camera for a whirlwind. I would say it was a successful build of boost. Last but not least, gonna throw her back up on the ramps, check for any leaks, put this giant piece of plastic back underneath, and that's it. That wraps it up. Hope you enjoyed the video. Catch you next time.